you ever wish you could go back in time and use the knowledge you have now back then, especially with your marriage? But before I get into all that, let me welcome you back to my channel. My name is Ayanna, and this is Beyond Committed, where we talk about everything from life, faith, family, marriage, and motherhood, and everything in between, and we take them beyond. If this is your first time here, welcome, and I'm so glad you stopped by. And to make sure you're not a stranger, make sure you press the subscribe button below and turn on your notifications so you don't miss a video. All right, now let's dive right in. I don't know about you, but I've had those moments to where I'm like, ooh, I wish I would have known this then, especially in marriage, because it would have saved us a whole lot of pain and a whole lot of struggle. I mean, I came into our marriage with this unrealistic expectation of marriage, this like fantasy-like thing, you know how the movies and TV show what marriage should look like. And then when it showed up at my real life marriage, I'm like, it don't look nothing like that. And then also I would take other people's idea of what wife life should look like and what being a good wife meant. But that didn't apply to my husband. So it was all these things in which I wish I knew then. But you know, now that I know them, I try to make sure I share them. So the other day I was talking to my husband. I'm like, well, what do you think? What do you wish you knew then that you know now? So Eric is here to share with us, from a husband's perspective, some things that he wished he knew then.
Yeah, so one of the first things I wish I knew is that I needed to handle a lot more what I would call personal adventures and toys, right? These things that I wanted to do, these thrills, so it could be something like skydiving, right? I used to contemplate wanting to do that. Clearly, that is off the list. Another piece of riding a motorcycle, owning a motorcycle. That didn't last long either in the context. And then I think about, some of the big purchase items, some big luxury sports car or something to that effect, or traveling to a certain place and things of that nature. And I think oftentimes it just doesn't happen in marriage because your priorities shift and they change. And then now you're thinking of more of the we aspects of things. And these things you will still get the opportunity to experience. It's just now it comes later. It's a delayed gratification, I guess. And so I probably would have been a little bit more aggressive in terms of some of these things I wanted to do before getting married.
Well, see, I wouldn't say, they don't get to do them. But, I mean, like you said, priorities change. When it goes from me to we, I mean, now it's a us thing. It's okay, this is our money thing. This is your life matters to me. And it's funny because we talk about it all the time. And, like with life insurance, for instance, I'm like, look, you're way more valued to me alive than the policy. So, the skydiving and all that, I'm like, yeah, that's fine when you get older. Okay. And then when, the kids are out of the house, and then you want to buy this motorcycle and take it around the country and do all of these things. Sure. Life has happened. I'll continue to pray that God blesses you and keeps you and all of that. But, why, take the risk, so to speak. And then like with the luxury cars and the luxury things in general, there's so many now goals that we have. And we talk so much about setting goals as individuals, but the marriage goals that we've set that make sure that these luxury items are a later thing. They're not a now thing because, I mean, we have a house and kids and, weddings to save for and, houses to purchase and rental properties and all these other things that now are on our marriage vision board. So it's so important that we are investing the time and the money in those. And some of his personal things, they'll happen just later.
And another key, I think, that I realize is the changes that come in relationships in general. I don't think before marriage I really thought about it too deeply, right? But when you take a step back and think about it, it's inevitable that your relationships will change because your priorities and your commitments will change when you get married. And so given that shift of activities in the relationships, the commonalities, the values, the things you share with certain individuals, whether they're friends or associates, it shifts. And so your interactions will change. And that can be hard sometimes to process because it's like, oh, I haven't talked to such and such in a while. We haven't hung out in such and such a time, right? But it's not as if there's some level of conflict or that you got some outstanding beef. It's just like it's a shift. The season has changed for you in your life. And so that can be one in which I wish I had more of a, I guess, awareness or thought of it. I'm not sure ultimately what would have changed behind it, but maybe I would have prepared and prioritized differently in terms of some of those relationships as well.
Yeah. And I think it also extends to family as well, because you go from, your immediate family, your mom, dad, sister, brother, all those people that are immediate to you then. But when you get married, they become extended. And that can be a hard pill to swallow for some people. Yeah. And kind of making those boundaries and, establishing boundaries and then having to revisit boundaries and all that, things you never had to do before. Because, this was my family. And now you have these two families that have come together and you have to manage them accordingly. And then you throw your friends in there and then you throw work stuff. And it's like all these relationships and all these new dynamics, because now you have a new primary person in your life. And it's so important that we're mindful of that, because you don't really think about it until it happens to you. And then you're like, okay, how do I do this? How do I successfully navigate these new relationship dynamics, but also keep them healthy? And then realize that some of them won't. And then there'll be a past relationship, a past friendship. And sometimes it hurts that, the friends you once had aren't really your friends anymore. Not because anything happened, but it's just life happened. You got married, you grew, you matured, you moved away, you did all these things. And now, life is kind of different for you. So it's so important to be mindful of that, because once it happens, it happens.
Another key thing I wish I knew before marriage is the importance of seeking relationships of those that are marriage minded. So what do I mean by that? It doesn't mean that just your friends are only people that are married. I think it means that the relationships that you hold close and dear are people that value marriage, right? If you yourself have decided that you want to be married, or in the process of getting married, and or are married, right? You want to be surrounded with people that value that. Marriage is hard. It is hard work day in and day out, and you need people around you to encourage you, to challenge you, to help you be better in your marriage, and understanding what are the things that I should be focused on and doing to promote a healthy marriage, not only for yourself but community, and then helping those other folks that are within your community as well, thinking about marriage.
Yeah, and I always say that it takes a village. It takes a village to raise a child, and it takes a village to have a healthy family. So, and a healthy marriage. So you need to make sure that you have that village surrounded you. And like you said, it's not just that you're friends with married people. You can be friends with single people, but are they, supportive of your marriage? Do they, encourage you? Do they love on you? Do they pray for you? Do they, want to support and do the best for your marriage? Those are the friends and those are the relationships you have. So that's what being a marriage minded friend is, because one of my best friends, she has been my friend since college. She was my maid of honor. She happens not to be married yet, but she is still one of my best friends. She is one of our biggest advocates. I mean, she loves on us. She loves on my girls. I mean, she loves my marriage. She encourages me as a wife. So it's in that I cherish that. And it's that I am mindful of that. The fact that, yes, most of my friends may be married, but they don't all have to be, but they all do have to support and encourage and love on my marriage as much as I would love on theirs.
So one of the other things I wish I knew before getting married is the importance of the daily practice of sacrificial love. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, when you get married, and I'll talk about this from a guy's perspective, get used to being last, brother, on everything, right? When was the last time we went to your favorite spot? When was the last time we had your favorite meal, right? Some of these things, it's a shift in terms of mentality, right? But we're called to love sacrificially, right? To make sure that our wives and children's needs are met. And I'm happy to do that, but it's a process of growing into it. And so I think mentally just understanding that, what are those essential things I need, not all the things I want. And if I stay focused on the things that I need, then I realize 9 times out of 10, I'm actually good and can continue to operate and do what I need to do to love them well. But I think at the same time, it's important to realize it's going to be work, right? Every day you're going to have to let a little bit of yourself go in terms of those selfish needs and desires and making that shift.
And I think that also just goes with you're maturing as a person, and you're maturing in your faith and your following of God, and realizing in order for us to be more Christ-like, we have to be less human-like. And that's a battle, a daily battle. And it's important that we are mindful of that. But then, as wives, from the wives' perspective, we have to be mindful that there is so much that our husbands do sacrifice for us, for our family, for the things that they're going after. I mean, they sacrifice a lot of themselves for themselves, if you think about it like that, like for their dreams, their goals and aspirations. There are a lot of things that they don't do in order to achieve those goals. There are a lot of, the personal time and the personal things that they like to do, the places they like to go, the friends they like to hang out with, all those things. They sacrifice that for not just their goals, but for your family, for you. So as wives, we have to just be mindful of, okay, what sacrifices our husbands are making, and how do we love them well and helping them not have to sacrifice everything. So like he says, well, when was the last time we went to his favorite restaurant? Actually, the other day, because he told me, he was like, we're going out on a date night. And I was like, okay, I guess we're going out on a date night. So he was like, hey, where do you want to go? And I was like, I don't know. And I really didn't have a place in my mind that I wanted to go. So I picked one of his favorite restaurants. I didn't say I'm picking this restaurant because I know it's one of your favorite restaurants. I did it because I know he enjoys it and we needed this time together. So I wanted to make it about me, but about us. And then also with just his time and effort and different things, trying to just make sure that he feels loved, heard, and seen, and that his sacrifices aren't going unnoticed. Because I know I often feel that myself as his wife and as the mother of his 3 kids and doing all the things that I do. It's easy for us as women to say, well, nobody sees me and all my sacrifices and all that. Well, that may be true in some instances, but often no one sees our husband's sacrifices as well. And are we affirming them? Are we encouraging them? Are we being their best cheerleaders? Even when, life is hard, and even when, you rather not, and, you rather take a nap, or you rather not make his favorite meal, but you do it anyway. So it's so important that we are mindful of that, because you always wish you knew that then, but now that you know it, you have to make sure you're actually doing something with the knowledge that you have. All right, that's it for today. And I want to know, what's one thing you wish you knew before you got married? Let me know in the comment box below. And if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and then make sure you press the subscribe button and turn your notifications so you don't miss a video. All right, now, until we see you again, bye.
Peace.